Hello friends, please like and subscribe to the channel and enjoy the stories. Chapter 1. Beneath the Umbrella Sky. The city of Soulfleur awoke with the usual hum of life. Morning sunlight streamed through the gaps between the towering skyscrapers, painting the cobblestone streets in golden hues. Among the bustle, Elena, a vibrant 23-year-old illustrator, made her way through the crowded avenues. She carried a canvas bag slung over her shoulder, its weight a comforting reminder of her tools. Her escape, her lifeline. Elena had a peculiar habit of wandering into unfamiliar corners of the city when she felt the walls of her small apartment pressing in. Today was no exception. She turned left at a flower stall, right at a bakery where the scent of freshly baked croissants teased her senses, and continued until she stumbled into a hidden alley adorned with hundreds of colorful umbrellas suspended above like a floating mosaic. It was enchanting. The sunlight filtered through the umbrellas, casting vibrant patterns onto the ground. Elena paused, her breath catching. Her fingers itched to sketch the scene, but she hesitated, unwilling to break the magic of the moment by fumbling for her sketch pad. "You found it," a warm voice said, startling her. She turned to see a man standing a few steps away, his smile disarming. He had tousled dark hair and wore a beige coat that seemed too light for the cool autumn air. In his hand was a steaming cup of coffee, and his presence felt as though it belonged to the alley as much as the umbrellas above. "Found what?" she asked, her curiosity piqued. "The Umbrella Sky," he replied. "It's a local secret. Not many stumble across it." "I wasn't looking for it," she admitted. "But it's beautiful." He nodded, his gaze drifting upward. "It is. A little oasis in a chaotic city. I'm Gabriel, by the way." "Elena." They exchanged polite smiles, and for a moment silence enveloped them, punctuated only by the distant chatter of the city. Elena felt an inexplicable pull to linger, to talk to this stranger who seemed so at ease in this magical alley. "Do you come here often?" she asked. "Every chance I get," Gabriel said. "There's something about this place. It feels like it belongs to another world. A world where things make sense." His words resonated with her. She nodded and, without thinking, reached for her sketch pad. She began to draw, her pencil capturing the cascade of umbrellas, the interplay of light and shadow, and Gabriel's relaxed posture as he sipped his coffee. "You're an artist," he observed, leaning closer to watch her work. She smiled. "Something like that. I mostly draw for myself." "You should share it," he said. "The world could use more beauty." They spent the rest of the morning talking about art, life, and the little things that made them both feel alive. Gabriel's laugh was infectious, and Elena found herself sharing stories she hadn't told anyone. By the time she finished her sketch, she felt as though she had known him for years. As the sun climbed higher, Gabriel glanced at his watch and sighed. "I have to go, but I hope you'll come back here." "Maybe," she said, though she already knew she would. He smiled, a touch of sadness in his eyes, and walked away, leaving Elena with her sketch and a sense of something unfinished. She stared after him until he disappeared around the corner. When she looked back at her drawing, she gasped. The scene was as she had drawn it, but Gabriel wasn't there. She flipped through her sketch pad, but every page was empty, save for faint impressions of her previous work, as though it had faded over time. She ran back to the entrance of the alley, scanning the streets, but Gabriel was nowhere to be seen. The Umbrella Sky remained vibrant and alive, yet the warmth of his presence had vanished, leaving her to question if he had been real at all, or merely a figment of her imagination. For the rest of the day, Elena wandered the city, hoping to catch a glimpse of him. But Gabriel was gone, like a dream forgotten upon waking. Chapter 2. The Ghost in the Rain. Elena couldn't sleep that night. Her mind replayed the events in the alley beneath the Umbrella Sky, clinging to every detail of her conversation with Gabriel. She couldn't shake the feeling that she had met him before, though she was certain she would have remembered someone so remarkable. The next morning, with dark circles under her eyes and her sketch pad tucked under her arm, she returned to the alley. The umbrellas still danced above, casting their colorful shadows on the cobblestones, but the magic she had felt the day before seemed muted without Gabriel. Determined to make sense of her encounter, Elena stopped at the flower stall she had passed on her way to the alley. The elderly woman behind the counter greeted her warmly. "Morning, dear. Looking for something special?" the florist asked, her voice kind and familiar. Elena hesitated before responding. "Actually, I wanted to ask if you've ever seen a man named Gabriel near here. Dark hair, beige coat, always carrying coffee?" The florist's smile faltered and her brows knitted together. "Gabriel?" she repeated slowly. "I haven't heard that name in years." Years. Elena's heart skipped a beat. "What do you mean?" The florist glanced around as if checking for eavesdroppers, then leaned in closer. "Gabriel used to work at the cafe down the street. He was a sweet boy, always polite and cheerful, but he passed away 5 years ago." Elena's stomach turned cold. "That's not possible. I talked to him yesterday," she insisted, her voice trembling. The florist's expression softened with pity. "You must be mistaken, dear. Or perhaps it was someone who looked like him." But Elena knew it wasn't a mistake. She thanked the florist and hurried to the cafe. Inside, she scanned the room for anyone who might recognize Gabriel. A barista with a bright smile greeted her at the counter. "Can I help you?" he asked. Elena swallowed hard. "Do you know someone named Gabriel? He used to work here." The barista's smile faltered, replaced by a look of confusion. "Gabriel? Oh, you mean Gabe? Yeah, he used to work here, but he died a few years back, hit by a car just outside the shop." Elena's legs felt unsteady. Did he ever talk about a place with umbrellas?" The barista tilted his head, clearly puzzled. "You mean the Umbrella Sky? Yeah, he loved that spot. Used to say it was like stepping into a painting." The world around her seemed to blur. Elena left the cafe in a daze, her mind racing. How could Gabriel be gone? She had spoken to him, laughed with him. He had been as real as the pencil in her hand. That evening, a storm rolled in, drenching the city. Elena found herself drawn back to the alley, her feet moving on their own accord. The umbrellas above swayed and clattered in the wind, their vibrant colors muted in the dim light of the storm. "Gabriel," she called, her voice barely audible over the pounding rain. "If you're here, please, I need to understand." For a moment, the only response was the sound of rain striking the cobblestones. Then, faintly, she heard it. A voice, soft and familiar. "Elena." She spun around, and there he was, standing beneath the umbrellas. Rain slid off his coat, though he seemed untouched by the storm. His eyes held the same warmth as before, but now there was something else, a sadness that hadn't been there before. "You shouldn't have come back," he said gently. Elena's throat tightened. "I had to. You're not real, are you?" He shook his head. "Not in the way you think. But I was real once." Tears mingled with the rain on her face. "Why me? Why now?" Gabriel stepped closer, his presence calming despite the chaos of the storm. "The Umbrella Sky is a threshold," he explained. "A place where worlds touch, if only for a moment. I've been waiting here, hoping someone might find me." "Waiting for what?" "To be remembered," he said softly. "To not fade away entirely." Elena's heart ached at his words. She reached out instinctively, and for a fleeting moment, their fingers brushed. His hand felt warm, solid, alive. "I'll remember you," she whispered. "I promise." Gabriel smiled, his form beginning to fade as the storm intensified. "Thank you, Elena. That's all I needed." And then he was gone, leaving only the rain and the empty alley beneath the umbrella sky. When Elena returned home, she opened her sketchpad, expecting to find another blank page. But there, as vivid as the moment itself, was the portrait of Gabriel. It was as if her pencil had captured not just his image, but his soul, a piece of him preserved forever. From that day forward, Elena visited the umbrella sky often, her sketchpad in hand, sharing its beauty with the world. She kept her promise, ensuring that Gabriel would never be forgotten. Chapter 3. A Whisper Through Time. Months passed since Elena last saw Gabriel. Though her encounter beneath the umbrella sky had shifted her understanding of the world, life in Soulfleur carried on. Yet, Gabriel lingered in her thoughts, his memory woven into the fabric of her days. She sketched his face countless times, his kind eyes and enigmatic smile appearing on the pages of her sketchpad like an anchor to something she couldn't explain. The umbrella sky had transformed into her sanctuary. People often stopped to admire her work as she sketched in the alley, drawn by the ethereal quality of her art. A gallery even reached out to her, intrigued by her hauntingly beautiful depictions of the place. Her work resonated with an inexplicable warmth, a story hidden in every line. But one rainy afternoon, as Elena returned to the alley, she noticed something strange. The umbrellas, once vibrant and full of life, were now faded, their colors dull and muted. A faint chill hung in the air, and the usual hum of the city seemed distant. Unease prickled at her senses. She set up her easel, trying to shake off the strange feeling. As her pencil touched the page, she felt a whisper of movement behind her. Turning quickly, she found the alley empty, save for the swaying umbrellas above. "Elena," a voice called softly, carried by the wind. Her breath caught. She knew that voice. "Gabriel?" A figure stepped from the shadows, but it wasn't Gabriel. It was a woman, her long hair cascading like a waterfall of ink. Her eyes gleamed with a knowing intensity. She wore a flowing coat that seemed to ripple like water, blending with the dim light of the alley. "You've seen him," the woman said, her voice steady and calm. Elena clutched her sketchpad tighter. "Who are you?" "My name is Lyra," the woman said. "I've been searching for Gabriel, and it seems you're the only one who can help me find him." "Find him?" Elena asked, her voice trembling. "But he's gone. He told me he needed to be remembered." Lyra's gaze softened. "Gabriel's story isn't over, Elena. The umbrella sky is more than just a threshold between worlds. It's a place where memories are preserved, where lost souls find fragments of themselves. But not all who pass through find peace." Elena's heart raced. "What do you mean? He seemed at peace." Lyra stepped closer, her coat trailing like smoke. "Gabriel's tether to this world is fragile, tied to the memories he left behind. You're the only one who remembers him clearly. But there are others. Shadows that linger in places like this, drawn to those who carry pieces of the past. They feed on memories, draining the colors of places like this." Elena glanced at the faded umbrellas above. "The colors? They're fading because they're being taken," Lyra said. "And if they take too much, Gabriel's memory will vanish completely." A wave of protectiveness surged through Elena. She couldn't let that happen. "What can I do?" Lyra studied her for a moment, then reached into her coat and pulled out a small, shimmering vial. Inside, a golden light pulsed softly. "This is a memory anchor. If you're willing, I can use it to strengthen the connection between you and Gabriel. But it comes with a cost." Elena hesitated. "What kind of cost?" Lyra's expression grew somber. "The connection will bind you to him, allowing you to bring his memory fully into this world. But doing so will leave a part of you behind in the umbrella sky. You'll never see it the same way again." Elena's mind swirled with questions, but deep down she already knew her answer. Gabriel had given her something intangible, a reminder of the beauty in fleeting moments, the importance of connection. She couldn't let his memory fade. "I'll do it," she said firmly. Lyra nodded and uncorked the vial. The golden light spilled out, swirling around them like fireflies. As it enveloped her, Elena felt a warmth unlike anything she'd ever known. Her mind filled with vivid images. Gabriel laughing at the cafe, walking beneath the umbrellas, sipping coffee on a rainy day. The light coalesced into a single point before sinking into her chest. For a moment, the world blurred and she felt weightless, as though the ground had disappeared beneath her feet. When the sensation passed, the alley came alive. The umbrellas glowed with vibrant hues, their colors more radiant than ever. The air hummed with a gentle energy, and Elena felt an overwhelming sense of calm. "Gabriel?" she whispered. He appeared at the far end of the alley, stepping out from the rain like a figure emerging from a dream. His eyes met hers, and for the first time, she saw something she hadn't before. A golden thread connecting them, pulsing with light. "You came back," he said, his voice thick with emotion. Elena ran to him, tears streaming down her face. "I couldn't let you go." As they embraced, the alley seemed to sigh, the colors shimmering with renewed life. But behind them, Lyra watched silently, her expression unreadable. "Be careful," she murmured, her voice barely audible over the rain. "The brighter the light, the darker the shadow." And as the golden thread between Elena and Gabriel pulsed, a faint ripple of darkness spread across the alley, unnoticed by either of them. Hamber Chapter 4. The Shadow's Echo. For weeks, Elena and Gabriel shared moments that felt stolen from time itself. The connection forged between them allowed Gabriel to exist in her world, though only in the confines of the umbrella sky. Each visit deepened their bond, as Elena learned more about his life, his love of poetry, his dreams of becoming an architect, and the tragic accident that had stolen his future. The alley had transformed into a haven, vibrant and alive with their shared energy. The umbrellas glimmered as though lit from within, and the cobblestones felt warm underfoot. Gabriel seemed more real with each passing day, his laugh no longer fleeting and his touch no longer ghostly. But as the umbrella sky thrived, so too did something darker. Elena began noticing shadows flickering at the edges of her vision, fleeting movements that vanished when she turned to look. At first, she dismissed them as tricks of the light, but they grew bolder, lingering longer and pressing closer. One evening, as she sketched Gabriel beneath the glowing umbrellas, the air grew cold. A shadow rippled across the cobblestones, its form indistinct but oppressive. Gabriel froze mid-sentence, his expression darkening. "You feel it too," Elena said, setting down her pencil. He nodded, his jaw tight. "It's been getting stronger." "What is it?" Gabriel hesitated, his gaze fixed on the ground. "I don't know, but it doesn't belong here." A chill crept over Elena's skin. "Lyra mentioned something about shadows feeding on memories. Do you think they're after us?" Gabriel finished grimly. "It's possible. Whatever's keeping me here, it's also drawing them." The weight of his words settled heavily between them. Elena clenched her fists, determined. "Then we'll fight it. Whatever it is, we'll stop it." Gabriel's eyes softened as he looked at her. "Elena, you've already given so much. I can't let you put yourself in danger for me." "You're worth it," she said firmly. The following day, Elena returned to the alley with a plan. She had spent the night researching memory anchors and the phenomena surrounding thresholds like the umbrella sky. Though much of what she found was obscure, one detail stood out. Light could repel shadows. Using fairy lights and lanterns, she transformed the alley into a radiant tapestry of illumination. The umbrellas glowed brighter than ever, their colors amplified by the artificial lights. Gabriel helped string the lanterns, his touch steady and confident. As night fell, the alley gleamed like a beacon. But with the light came the shadows. They crept in from the edges, coalescing into a single dark mass that hovered just beyond the alley's threshold. It pulsed and writhed, an amorphous void that seemed to drink in the light. Elena and Gabriel stood side by side, facing the entity. Its presence was suffocating, pressing down on them like a heavy fog. "What do you want?" Elena demanded, her voice steady despite the fear clawing at her chest. The shadow pulsed in response, a deep, guttural voice echoing through the alley. "Memories. He does not belong." Gabriel stepped forward, shielding Elena. "I won't let you take her." The shadow writhed, its form shifting. "She binds you here. Break the thread and we will leave." Elena's heart clenched. "No, there has to be another way." Gabriel turned to her, his expression pained. "If breaking the thread means you'll be safe." "I won't lose you again," she interrupted, her voice trembling but resolute. "There has to be another way." The shadow surged forward, tendrils of darkness reaching for the golden thread between them. Elena reacted instinctively, gripping Gabriel's hand. Light flared from the thread, pushing the darkness back. In the brilliance of the light, Elena caught a glimpse of faces, familiar and unfamiliar, memories of people who had passed through the umbrella sky. The shadows weren't just entities, they were fragments of lost souls, desperate to exist. An idea struck her. "Gabriel, the sketch pad. It's the anchor. It's where your memory lives." He nodded, understanding immediately. Elena grabbed the sketch pad and held it aloft. "If you want his memory, take it." The shadow hesitated, then lunged for the sketch pad. As it engulfed the pages, the golden thread connecting Elena and Gabriel began to flicker. "No," Gabriel cried, trying to pull away. "Trust me," Elena said, her voice breaking. The light from the thread pulsed one last time before shattering, sending a shockwave through the alley. The shadow recoiled, its form unraveling into tendrils of smoke that dissipated into the night. When the light faded, the sketchpad lay on the ground, its pages blank. Gabriel stood before her, his form flickering like a dying flame. "Elena." His voice was faint, but his eyes held gratitude. "You saved me." "No," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "I let you go." He smiled, his hand brushing her cheek one last time before he faded into the light. The umbrella sky dimmed, the colors softening but retaining a gentle glow. Elena knelt in the empty alley, clutching the blank sketchpad. Though Gabriel was gone, she felt a deep sense of peace. His memory wasn't tethered to the past anymore. It was free, carried forward in the hearts of those who would remember the beauty of the umbrella sky. And so, Elena began again, her pencil tracing new stories beneath the umbrellas, her heart forever marked by a love that had bridged worlds. Chapter 5. The Keeper of Forgotten Threads. The umbrella sky had returned to its quiet beauty. The once radiant colors now carried a subdued glow, as if mourning Gabriel's departure. Elena visited every day, sketching the people who walked beneath the umbrellas, their laughter and conversations filling the air. Life continued, but for Elena, the alley held a bittersweet void. Weeks turned into months, and though the umbrella sky was no longer as vibrant, its quiet magic remained. But something had shifted. The shadows no longer lingered, and the alley felt protected. It wasn't until one fateful evening, as Elena packed up her sketchpad, that she noticed a figure standing at the far end of the alley. It was Lyra. "You've been busy," Lyra said, stepping closer. Her coat still rippled with that strange fluid motion, though her presence now felt less imposing. Elena stood, clutching her sketchpad. "Why are you here?" "Gabriel's gone. The shadows are gone." Lyra's lips curved into a faint smile. "Yes, they are. Thanks to you. But I didn't come to talk about the shadows." "Then why?" Lyra gestured toward the sketchpad in Elena's hands. "Do you know what you've created?" Elena frowned, glancing down at the book. Its pages were filled with her sketches, new faces, new moments captured beneath the umbrella sky. "It's just my art. It's how I keep this place alive." "No," Lyra said, her voice almost reverent. "It's more than that. You've become something rare, Elena. A keeper." Elena blinked, confusion knitting her brow. "A keeper?" Lyra nodded. "There are places in the world where the past and present collide, where memories linger longer than they should. The umbrella sky is one of those places, and you've become its guardian. Your sketches are anchors now, preserving the stories of everyone who passes through. You've created a new thread, a thread of hope." Elena's breath caught. "I didn't ask for this. I just wanted to remember him." "And in doing so, you gave this place a new purpose," Lyra said. She stepped closer, her expression softening. "Gabriel's memory was only the beginning. Through your art, you've made this alley a sanctuary for others, a place where their stories won't be forgotten." The weight of Lyra's words settled over Elena. She looked around the alley, seeing it anew. Every sketch she had drawn wasn't just a picture. It was a fragment of someone's life, a moment immortalized beneath the umbrellas. "But why me?" Elena asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Lyra's smile was enigmatic. "Because you care. Because you see the beauty in the fleeting and the forgotten. And because you were willing to let go, even when it hurt." Elena felt a lump rise in her throat. She thought of Gabriel, of his smile, and the way he had thanked her in his final moments. "Will I ever see him again?" Lyra's gaze turned wistful. "Perhaps. The threads we weave often cross paths in ways we don't expect. But for now, your role is here." Lyra turned to leave, her coat flowing like liquid shadow. "The umbrella sky will need you, Elena, and in time, you'll find your own questions answered." "Wait," Elena called. "Will I ever stop missing him?" Lyra paused, glancing over her shoulder. "The ones we love never truly leave us. He's in your sketches, in the colors of this alley, in every life you touch through your art. As long as you remember him, he's never gone." And with that, Lyra disappeared into the fading light, leaving Elena alone beneath the umbrellas. That night, Elena stayed in the alley long after the crowds had left. She opened her sketchpad and began to draw, not just Gabriel, but everyone she had ever encountered in the umbrella sky. Faces filled the pages, each one a thread in the tapestry of the place she had come to love. The golden glow of the alley seemed to pulse with life, as if the umbrella sky itself was alive, watching over her as she worked. And for the first time in months, Elena felt a deep, unshakable peace. She wasn't just an artist anymore. She was a keeper, and the umbrella sky was her canvas. Chapter 6. Threads of Eternity. Years passed, and the umbrella sky became a legend in Soulfluer. Visitors from across the world came to walk beneath its colorful canopy, their laughter and footsteps weaving into the fabric of its magic. Elena's sketches, once confined to her own memories, became part of the alley itself. Murals of faces, scenes, and moments adorned the walls, each one glowing faintly, as though alive with the energy of the people who had inspired them. Elena had grown into her role as keeper, though the weight of it sometimes felt overwhelming. The umbrella sky wasn't just a place of beauty, it was a place of stories, and every visitor left behind a piece of themselves. Elena's job was to honor those fragments, to ensure they were never lost to time. But as the years went by, one question lingered in her heart. Was she bound to the umbrella sky forever? One evening, as she sat sketching a family beneath the umbrellas, a familiar chill swept through the alley. Her pencil froze mid-stroke, and her heart quickened. She turned to find Lyra standing at the edge of the alley, her coat still rippling like liquid shadow. "It's been a while," Elena said, setting her sketchpad aside. Lyra's smile was faint. "You've done well, Keeper. The umbrella sky thrives because of you." Elena gestured to the glowing murals. "I've only done what I could. It's the people who bring this place to life." Lyra stepped closer, her eyes glinting with something Elena couldn't quite place. "And yet, it's you who holds it all together. Your thread has grown stronger than I ever expected." Elena frowned. "My thread?" Lyra reached out, and for the first time, Elena saw it clearly. A golden thread shimmered between her and the umbrella sky, pulsing gently like a heartbeat. It connected her to the alley, to every story, every moment she had preserved. "It's beautiful," Lyra said softly. "But it's also binding you here." Elena's breath caught. "Binding me? I thought I was protecting it." "You are," Lyra said, "but there's a balance to everything. Just as Gabriel's tether to this world had to be released, so too must yours, eventually. Otherwise, the umbrella sky will consume you." The weight of Lyra's words settled over her like a heavy cloak. "What happens if I let go?" Lyra's gaze was kind but firm. "The umbrella sky will continue. Its magic doesn't depend on you alone, but if you stay bound to it, you'll lose yourself. Your memories, your essence, everything that makes you who you are." Elena's mind raced. She thought of Gabriel, of the choice she had made to let him go. Could she do the same for herself? "I don't want to abandon this place," she whispered. "It's part of me." "And it always will be," Lyra said. "But being a keeper doesn't mean losing yourself. It means trusting that the stories you've preserved will endure, even if you're no longer here to hold them." Elena closed her eyes, tears slipping down her cheeks. She thought of the countless faces she had sketched, the lives she had touched. The umbrella sky had given her a purpose, but it had also taken so much. When she opened her eyes, Lyra was holding a small, shimmering vial, the same kind she had used to bind Gabriel's memory. "This will release you," Lyra said. "The thread will remain, but it will no longer tie you to this place. You'll be free." Elena hesitated, her hand hovering over the vial. "Will I still remember him?" Lyra smiled gently. "The ones we love are never truly forgotten. Gabriel will always be a part of you, just as this place will." With trembling fingers, Elena took the vial and uncorked it. The golden thread connecting her to the umbrella sky shimmered brightly, then began to unravel, its strands dissolving into the air. As the thread disappeared, a warmth spread through Elena's chest, filling her with a sense of peace she hadn't felt in years. The alley seemed to sigh, its colors softening but remaining vibrant, as though thanking her for everything she had given. Lyra stepped back, her expression unreadable. "This isn't an end, Elena. It's a new beginning." And with that, Lyra faded into the shadows, leaving Elena standing beneath the glowing umbrellas. For the first time in years, Elena felt light. She picked up her sketchpad and walked away from the alley, her heart full of memories, but free to create new ones. As she turned the corner, the umbrella sky glowed brighter than ever, its colors a testament to the stories it would continue to hold. And though Elena had let go, her legacy remained, woven into the threads of a place where memories live forever.